Hey folks, Professor Finn here, and we're going to continue our study of pathology today by diving into the next chapter of Pathology and Microbiology for Mortuary Science students by Mullins. But before we do that, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends on social media, post it where you can to let people know these lectures exist. And let's get the presentation shared, and let's talk about inflammation. So what is the function of inflammation? Inflammation is an immunological defense against injury, infection, or allergy marked by an increase in regional blood flow, immigration of white blood cells, and release of chemical toxins. It is an immunological defense against injury, infection, or allergy, period. It is one of the mechanisms used by the body to defend itself. The goal of inflammation is the repair of the tissues. And despite that, inflammation can be harmful to the body. So examples of inflammation can come from anaphylactic shock, atherosclerosis, or even rheumatoid arthritis. Inflammation involves vasodilation, which is an increase in the diameter of blood vessels. There are 5 cardinal signs of inflammation. This is extremely important. The 5 cardinal signs of inflammation: tumor, calor, rubor, dolor, and functio laesa. So tumor is swelling due to increased permeability of vessels. We see the word tumor all the time, and what is a tumor in essence? It is a swelling. Whether it's malignant or non-malignant, it is a swelling. You have calor, which is heat due to vasodilation. You are familiar with a word, calorie, which is a measurement of heat. So calor. Rubor, redness due to vasodilation. That one lends itself to memorization fairly easy. Rubor, redness. And dolor, pain due to nervous stimulation and swelling. So dolor is pain. Functio laesa is an altered function due to swelling and pain. As the arm swells because you have an elbow injury, you cannot use your arm nearly as effectively. The same thing if you jam your finger or something like that, you lose functionality. That is the functio laesa. So what are some causes of inflammation? The first is physical irritants, chemical irritants, infectious agents, and immunological reactions of autoimmune disease. So inflammation always begins as acute inflammation. This lasts a few minutes to a few days, and the body's attempting to regenerate tissue to normal function without residual effects. However, this can progress into chronic inflammation, which lasts from days to years. It may be a result of creation of scar tissue if complete regeneration is not successful. There are 3 basic goals of inflammation. The first is to isolate the threat, and once it is isolated, it eliminates the threat, and then finally it's going to regenerate the tissues in that area. So, inflammation sequence. First and foremost, an injury has to occur, whatever that injury might be. The second part is vasoconstriction of the venules around the industry, and vasoconstriction is a decrease in diameter of vessels. Your body is basically saying, hey, we noticed there is a problem, and so we are going to contain it. We're going to put up barricades, so if anything gets in, it does not jeopardize the rest of the system. So vasoconstriction tries to isolate the area around the injury while the disaster cells figure out what's going on. Chemicals such as histamine, etc., are released into the injury site to cause vasodilation to increase blood flow, causing swelling, redness, and heat. This is an attempt to flush the area of foreign matter. Blood flow slows after chemotaxis, which is the flow of white blood cells to the vessel wall. So barriers are put up, things constrict, other things open in an attempt to clean the wound as best as possible. White blood cells work with platelets to recognize foreign cells and eliminate them through phagocytosis, which is the process in which phagocytes engulf and destroy microorganisms, foreign antigens, and cell debris. White blood cells involved in this process include the neutrophil, which is the first cell to the site of the injury. They're able to kill bacteria, phagocytize, and produce chemicals, and these are your first responders. They are short-lived. They get there, they do what they're supposed to, and then they die and they flush out. You have eosinophils, which again kill bacteria. They're involved in allergic reactions and parasitic infections. These are longer-lived and present in chronic inflammation. You have basophils, or mast cells, which release histamine, which cause vasodilation. These are called mast cells when they are in tissues. So if it is a basophil, it is roaming around in your bloodstream. It's the same exact thing as a mast cell, but the moment it is in a tissue, it becomes a mast cell, just to make things confusing. And then finally, macrophages enters the site of the injury within 3 to 4 days. These are the nuclear option. These kill bacteria and phagocytize, and they are present in chronic inflammation. So then the big guns come out, and then they go in and start to fix the situation. Lymphocytes. These are white blood cells. They have surface protein specific for antigens. Memory lymphocytes can remember a previously encountered antigen. At the same time, blood clot formation stops initial bleeding and scab forms to wall off the inflammatory process. Tissue is repaired and the scab falls away. So think about what's happening. Trauma happens, it's an external injury. Your body immediately closes off the area. It starts bleeding and flushing as much as it can to empty the area. The platelets start forming thrombuses. They start forming scabs. They prevent any further leakage. And then you have all these white blood cells rushing in and attacking whatever's in there until everything is done, everything is clean, and the tissue starts to regenerate. We, of course, help this along by flushing our wounds, applying antibacterials, covering the wounds with proper medical dressings, and things of that nature. Inflammatory lesions. Besides scar tissue, there are several possible lesions that may develop as a result of inflammation. The first is an abscess, an inflamed area of pus that is walled off by a membrane. These wall off the inflammatory process within a fibrous capsule to protect surrounding tissues from further damage. So not just allowing it into the bloodstream, but not allowing anything to penetrate even any of the other tissues. You have ulcers, an open sore lesion of the skin or mucous membrane accompanied by a sloughing of inflamed necrotic tissue. You have vesicles, which is a blister-like elevation of skin containing serous fluid, and a furuncle, or a boil, which is an abscess or pustule infection of a sweat gland or hair follicle. So a furuncle/boil is a very specific type of abscess, or can be a very specific type of abscess. Pustules are small elevations of skin containing pus. So you might say, well, what's the big difference between vesicles and pustules? Well, a vesicle contains serous fluid, and a pustule contains pus. That's it. And then carbuncles, abscess of skin formed by the merger of two or more furuncles. Pus is a protein-rich fluid containing white blood cells, especially neutrophils and cell debris produced during inflammation. Commonly caused by infection with pus-forming bacteria or pyogenic bacteria, and usually pus is white or yellow, but it can be red, brown, or bluish green. Inflammatory exudates. So an exudate is any fluid released from the body with a high concentration of protein, cells, or solid debris. So a hemorrhagic exudate contains blood, a purulent exudate or a suppurative exudate will contain pus. So super, super important. What are the outcomes of inflammation? Well, that is resolution, the termination of the inflammatory response with the affected part returning to its normal state. So regeneration occurs when the damaged cell is replaced with identical cells. Restoration occurs when the damaged cell is replaced with not identical as the original cells. So this could be scar tissue, etc., etc., etc. And the technical name for a scar is a cicatrix. So the restored tissue does not contain blood vessels, hair follicles, oil or sweat glands, or nerve endings. So something forms, but not what was there prior. All right, folks, that concludes this lecture. Again, take a moment to like, share, subscribe, post this on social media, talk about it, drop a note in the comments below. Let me know what you think, or email me at askbigbadfin@gmail.com, and we will see you at the next video.